For many fans, there is no form of entertainment more exciting than live entertainment. Live is where anything can happen. From the metaphorical train wrecks to the real moon landings, live video keeps us glued to our screens. We remember OJ's Bronco chase and Olympic moments, wardrobe malfunctions, and Academy Award sensations. Live is raw, it's right now, and it's perceived as more real than the edited packaged stuff that we also love so much. Today's Digital Talk sponsor, Canada's Bell Fund, where I serve on the board of directors, provides millions of dollars in financing to digital producers who very much want to bring the world of television and live social media together. Our winning producers continue to experiment with live voting, real-time Twitter engagement, and YouTube Live. Streaming platforms today increasingly want your live broadcast rights, once the jewel in the crown of television. And celebrities are launching their own live channels at the same time that new platforms, such as Periscope, are giving us a fresh crop of celebrities. And also, I believe, 110 years of live video watched every day. When it comes to fans, Facebook users spend triple the amount of time watching a live video than a video that's no longer live, which indicates how social audiences are enthralled by this broadcasting novelty. Live broadcasting, live production, and live performances were once the holy grail of television alone. Today, live streaming is among the fastest growing forms of digital entertainment. We have live streaming platforms that have mushroomed in recent years with big players that include Amazon's Twitch, Facebook Live, and its VR equivalent, Live 360, which we're going to hear more about from our panel today. And on the other hand, we've seen the rise of live digital content and talent, new live producers, and new live celebrities. Better than the dead ones, for sure. This afternoon, we'll hear from our panelists about what's going on in this world of live digital media right now and how it might impact television in the year ahead. I'm joined on the stage by Dan Biddle, Twitter's head of broadcast partnerships UK, who helps bring Twitter, television, and live together. Vigor Sörman, founder and CEO of Splay, which produces live original content and live streaming technology for YouTube talent. And Will Keenan, president and co-founder at Streamup, who is just about to take a sabbatical and doing that from his platform, which he calls the Netflix of live video.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Vigor Sörman, CEO and founder of Splay, and we're the leading MCN in the Nordics. And I'm going to share two different projects that we are working on right now, where we use live. And the interesting part here is to see the engagement of the audience. So the first thing is our leading award show for the digital generation. So it's basically a YouTube award show. It was broadcasted live on YouTube 1 week ago. And in Sweden, the population is 9 million, and we had 671,000 people watching the live show on YouTube, which was actually more than the Swedish Emmy Award show got on TV. So that really shows how you can drive live. And what was also interesting was to see the engagement of the audience, where we had more than 106,000 comments during the live stream. And it was live streamed in 360 and virtual reality, as well as, if you look at the video, it looks a little bit weird now because you need the 360 experience. Another case is a platform called Unicorn Me that we launched a few months ago, and it allows different social influencers to create their own apps and launch them in App Store and Google Play. And through these apps, they find a new way to engage with their audience, and also for the audience to engage with each other. So the fans can do everything from editing themselves into the YouTubers' videos. They can create polls, quizzes, and upload their own content. But what we can see that is driving the most engagement is the live feature. So on average, I just took one of our creators, Miss Lisabelle. She managed to convert around 20% of her YouTube audience to the app. So she's got 60,000 downloads on the app right now. And on every live stream, her average views are 10,000, which is quite good. But more interestingly is to see the 25,000 comments that is coming in during the live show. So it's really driving engagement, and that is what I think is the key takeaway.
That was hot. Wasn't that hot?
Thank you all. So we can see that this world of live is moving very rapidly. And I'd like to begin by asking Dan from Twitter, how can broadcasters and producers of premium content take advantage of Periscope to enhance what they're already doing on their primary channels?
There's a number of ways, really. At the moment, you can obviously the access to talent. One of the premium things that broadcasters have is access to talent around their shows. And talent really drives conversation and drives engagement and interaction. So we're seeing shows like, for instance, The Voice in Russia, The Voice in the Netherlands, A Voice in the UK. They are all getting onto Periscope during the actual show, and before the show and after the show, and engaging with the audience. A really good example of Anton Deck, just before Britain's Got Talent final last year. They were on Periscope in the dressing rooms, talking about getting ready, the excitement of this in the 5 minutes before the show started, and you followed them live, talking to the audience directly into their mobile phone as they walked up to the backstage area, to the side curtains. You could hear the music of BGT starting, and they said, "That's us, we're on, see you on TV," and turned off the broadcast. So it was a great moment of bringing people into that intimate experience and then driving people onto the broadcast. We've also seen people say in the ad breaks, okay, we're going to go to the ad break, but we'll be on Periscope answering questions backstage at this moment in time as well. We're also seeing drama stars, comedians like Rob Delaney, who you saw there in the sizzle. They are actually goggleboxing, if you're aware of the TV show Gogglebox, where British people watch British people watching British television. It's meta, but it's a big show. Who thought it would come to this? But it is amazing. It is gripping. And so that phenomenon of watching people watch TV is actually being transported to the point where the talent now watches TV, the show they were in, while on Periscope at the same time, talking to fans, watching the show, engaging around the show during ad breaks or as appropriate. So it's an amazing opportunity to put the audience into the palm of your hand. That's what it's all about. Your audience is in the palm of your hand, and there's an intimacy and an access there that nowhere else gives you.
And you mentioned, say, cutting to an ad and then throwing to Periscope. Can you also monetize within Periscope with ad placements?
At the moment, we haven't seen that. There's no sort of model for that at the moment. In theory, if you were, standing in front of a board which had branding behind it, as you would on sort of Match of the Day, you could do that. I mean, it would be quite interesting with the GoPro integration we now have. As you saw there are skiers with GoPros on their hats and taking stuff underwater with sharks. But the GoPro range, where you can tether the GoPro camera to your Periscope app, which means you essentially have another device which can be 100 meters away. There's this option to have someone who is doing the periscoping talking to the camera, and then you could throw to another area which could be a sponsored area where someone has another piece of content waiting. It'll be interesting to see how people start to work with that.
Great opportunity for those of you in branded entertainment as well. Vigor, I'd like to ask you, we've seen some examples of popular live shows over the years, these event-based television productions, including everything from Saturday Night Live to the Super Bowl. These are very big budget productions, and I'm wondering what is involved in producing this highly slick but live digital content that you're currently doing?
So I would say we're producing two different sort of content. One thing is what I showed you, this award show, which is more a traditional TV show, basically. But what we always try to add on is how can the audience engage, and that's because it's so important that they become a part of the whole show. But then if we look at the other hand, when we work with a YouTuber and they produce their own live shows, it's much more just follow them around on what's happening. So right now there is a popular thing going on YouTube, which is Follow Me Around, which is sort of an edited version of the live streaming. But what we can see from the creator perspective, the YouTuber's perspective, they get a little bit stressed out of producing content for YouTube and Instagram because it needs to be so perfect. So that's why they like Snapchat, because they can just start creating things. But then, live with Periscope or with our Unicorn Me apps, or and also with YouTube live streaming, it become even more authenticity and real and easy to produce the content. So if you are a creator, a YouTube creator, and you want to scale the content you're producing and you want to maximize the engagement with your fans, you need to go live, and that's what you can see. But if you look at the traditional linear TV business, you see that the live formats are the ones that's going to, stay alive, and I think it's going to be much tougher for classic reality show, entertainment show to survive. Everything is going into the live direction.
And when you're producing in this 360 environment, is that hugely increasing the event-based production budget, or are you doing it lean and mean? So
we have built up a digital production company to be able to work on the digital budget. So I would say we produce for a fifth of a traditional budget, no matter what, if we're doing an event or if we're doing more classic TV format or something like that. So you need to find new ways to produce more cheap at the lower cost, and also use cross-platforms. So we are always trying to see how can we maximize, how can we get the most content out of this event across all platforms. So on this event, for instance, we had Snapchat reporters running around and producing on Snapchat, and we're not rely only on the traditional pre-rolls, so we always do brand integration. So in each part, on each platform, we have different brand integrations to make sure that it becomes a sustainable business.
Sounds like a lot of work. Good for you.
Yeah, a lot of work for the sales team.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in your vision for original content, and you may know that Amazon recently debuted a live fashion and beauty show, Style Code Live, for a streaming audience. And I'm curious, what original content are you launching in the year ahead? And is there any genre that you think works best for live streaming? And what doesn't work?
We'll soon find out, I guess. No, I think a lot of the strong television formats and some of the really strong online video formats, as you see on YouTube, can be done live. Live reality shows, live beauty tutorials, live pranks, live narratives. You know, a lot of what we're doing now in live, I think, harkens back to the early days of television, when in the first few years it was almost predominantly on some of the original 3 networks live programming. It was like General Electric Theater presents Playhouse 90, and then in the middle of a play they would just move over to a woman in front of a washing machine and do it like a live ad, right? So I think you're going to see like new iterations of that, and to me it's just. If my reading of entertainment history is any indication, it's just another huge disruption, right? It was like they were watching moving pictures on Nickelodeons and arcades, disrupted by silence, disrupted by talkies and radio, disrupted by musicals, disrupted by TV, cable TV, millions of YouTube channels, and then all these other social video channels, OTTs, and now everything's being disrupted by live, and it's the new, to me, it's becoming the new must-watch destination, appointment television, FOMO, fear of missing out. And, I found it interesting that at the same time reality television viewership was going down, especially on cable nets around the world, on the viewership of online video bloggers, who in my mind became like the new reality stars, was going way up. But now what we're starting to see, and what was it about the online video bloggers? It was that genuineness, that authenticity, because a lot of the reality shows became less real, shall we say, scripted, faux reality. And then these online video bloggers were, and fail videos and all those things that were real. And the video bloggers were looking into the camera and connecting with people and engaging with them in the comments. But now, even viewership for online video blogging stars is going down because you can't get more genuine or authentic than live. You can't fake it. A lot of the video bloggers are looking overly polished and edited now. So, it's and again, being a student of entertainment history, I liken it to like the vaudevillians of yesteryear, where if you could kill it on stage, you could transition to film and TV. But it's much harder to do the other way around. So there are plenty of talent, traditional and digital, who don't like live. They don't want to do it. And now there are these new stars on Streamup, Periscope, YouNow, who were not big on other platforms, but they built up this audience by keeping people engaged for like an hour in real time. So those to me are talent that we're looking at. So the first 5 original shows we announced, there's one talk show, there's 2 talk shows actually, one kind of reality show, and most of them are real time, and that's kind of baked into the format itself. That not only is it live, but they have screens and they're watching the comments come in and they're responding in real time. Does that answer your question?
It does, and I see Vigor wants to jump in.
I totally agree with Will. It's and if you look, everything is really turning into live. So first of all, people are looking for the content that is real, and what becomes more real than live. Secondly, we're seeing a bigger and bigger competition for the eyeballs, and it's a really good offering that you have. That hey, you have to watch this live now, otherwise you will miss it. So I think these 2 factors will just drive the live experience across all platforms. We're not talking about digital. We're talking about everywhere. Yeah. And it needs to be video. It needs to be live. Yeah, and then you're a winner.
What Dan and I think what you were alluding to in the introduction is that there have been live platforms before Streamup, Periscope, YouNow, and so forth. The ones that are really big right now: Ustream, Livestream, Hangwith, Stageit, Stickam. And a lot of them were just kind of before their time, before this really hit. But it's really, to me, the shared viewing experience and the chatting and the interactivity between the viewers with the talent or the creator or the streamer that has really made our platforms, grow so fast.
Yeah, and also Twitch. I think Twitch has done an amazing job. It often starts with the gaming community because they are early adopters, and then you can see it spread to other segments.
Yeah. Now, Dan, if I am an aspiring Periscope star or a television producer that wants to experiment with the platform, do you produce some kind of kit or coaching guide? How do people know what's gonna work? Do they just watch a bunch of stuff, or are you supporting them from behind?
So we have a media team who is sort of dedicated to supporting whether broadcasters, news, journalists, sport, etc. Periscope has people as well on the ground who are able to do that. Twitter.com has a lot of media.twitter.com has areas where you can look at this sort of that thing for top tips, and on Periscope's own blog, which is on Medium. But I think watching and learning and observing is the way forward. Definitely, you can just sort of either just look on Twitter, where of course you can share a Periscope into Twitter now, and it plays in tweet in stream. So this is something that you can just sort of like start to see what's gaining traction, what's getting retweets. Look on Periscope, what's getting all of the hearts, what's getting the most comments. And I think that, as you say there, it's that interaction, the ability on Periscope and other platforms to be able to actually talk to the person. So when I talk about, the audience is in the palm of your hands, the intimacy of that also comes into that expertise, where we saw Roger Federer walking around Wimbledon, walking around just like talking to people, and people were able to say, hey, is that Leighton Hewitt? And he stops and he goes, oh, that is Leighton. Oh, look, he serves. And how's the grass looking? And he actually bends down, starts filming the grass, and says, yeah, it's looking good. And so it's that kind of access that you get. And I would also say to the whole live experience, it is definitely a drive towards that live moment, and whether Periscope is, as I say, that moment that's live that brings you into live programming or gives you another reason to watch it. Now it's that sense of it's now, and now is better than later, because later is quite close to never, or it's closer to never than now. And so when you say I'm on Periscope now, you are there right now, and people will engage with it right now. And the success will be whether people find that compelling when they arrive and whether they want to stay.
Mm-hmm. And Will, in your reel, you alluded to a number of different revenue models. I saw a tip jar for viewers to donate to individual broadcasters. What other business models are you considering?
The ones that are working right now, which are the tip jar donations. I think Twitch calls it subscriptions, but it's actually a donation to tip jar. We have that. I think our average is, with influencers, is like $200, $250 an hour. We're starting an ad network. It actually launches next week. I think we're testing it out for the first 10% of our original content. Brand and integration sponsorships are moving into the live streaming area like nobody's business. I think brands were scared at first, that someone would go off-brand live, but again, if they're working with talent or influencers or producers, creators that have worked with brands before, but also it's like wherever the eyeballs go, the advertisers follow. So I think it was 9 months ago in Adweek, it was brands no longer afraid of live streaming because of Periscope. So we were like, woohoo! So there's those three predominantly right now are what we're working with. Virtual gifts is working really well on YouNow, but that is they have a very, very young demographic. I think it's 14 to 18, and it's the kids they get. It's like a freemium model where they get $50 worth of virtual gift stickers, and they give them to their favorite YouNow creators, and then when they're out, they're like, Mom, Dad, I need another $5. So we may do that as well.
And that $250 an hour metric is interesting to me. Those influencers have about how many fans?
The ones we're talking about have, 3 to 5, 600,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then they'll have, something comparable on Instagram, and Twitter's still the hardest platform, I think, to gain influence on. And then, like you were saying, with what was her name, Kisali,
Miss Lisabel.
Yeah,
but we see conversions up to 35% from. So if you take the YouTube subscribers and see the number of downloads, it's up to somewhere between 10 to 35%. It
is that high. Whereas it used to be, bringing an audience from one platform to another, from YouTube to Vine, or, remember where all the YouTube stars went big on Vine, all the Vine stars went big on YouTube, everyone wants to be big on Snapchat, but there's something about the real-time interactive experience where the percentage of conversions bringing your audience over to a live platform is much higher.
Mm-hmm. What do you think broadcasters and producers can learn from the talent and the emerging young people who are experimenting with these platforms?
So it's basically how they communicate with their audience compared to traditional broadcasters. broadcasters are used. They think the audience want to sit back, relax in the sofa, and enjoy a good show. These influencers, they hang out with their, I think it was Sam from Victorious who said with their family members. So they see their audience like a family, where they really hang out with them, and the fans see the YouTubers or the influencers as their best friend. And that's why all these sort of branded entertainment, deal sponsorships with influencers is so powerful, because it's your best friend that tells you to buy this car or this shirt or whatever. And the same thing goes with the conversion. So if I would create one of the Unicorn Me apps with a traditional broadcaster, we wouldn't see that conversion, because they can't drive the same conversion as an influencer, because the influencers had such a big impact on their audience, and it's become this tight family community.
And another thing to learn is I think it's not just the intimacy and the fearlessness of being able to talk to the audience and making that part of the USP, without a doubt, where I think TV is more hermetically sealed. Radio isn't. Radio is very much about like talking to its audience in your ear all the time, and the idea of divided attention isn't a problem for radio. They've always had it. People drive cars and listen to radio. So when someone tweets in or does something with the radio, that's the only point of singular attention they have. TV has always been like, let's just watch TV, as you say. But what's interesting about YouTubers and people on Periscope and other platforms, where they're aware of the frame, the fourth wall doesn't exist, but more than just talking straight to the audience, they also are aware of the frame they are in. TV, I mean, they used to say, don't touch that dial, but that's sort of faded away. It's like a flat screen, a beautiful flat screen, and just watch. Whereas YouTubers will say, click here, subscribe, thumbs up, comment, tweet us. They will be aware of the buttons, like Periscope there, Rob Delaney saying, click the button for the hearts, give me a comment. It's an active environment that they are in, and I think TV needs to think about that. What is the environment they're in?
I have an amazing story with a Swedish girl called Tova. She's 17 years old, and she just made a video that was almost live, where she cleaned her room for 1 hour and 42 minutes.
Love that girl.
And this video got 1.5 million views in Sweden, out of population of 9 million.
And all the parents of the kids, the viewers, were like, "Why don't you do that? Why don't you clean your room?"
No, and that's a good, cool thing, because now it's this YouTube tags where people start cleaning the rooms. So it's great for all the parents, basically.
What is wrong with kids today?
So it's about the influence,
One of the things I've been saying for a while when it comes to traditional or broadcasters, what they can learn from this, when I was at Maker Studios years ago and then Endemol Beyond for 2 years, and I think it applies to live, is that the viewer is the new studio boss, right? And the crowd is always right. So you kind of have to take those cues with what's going on. There's no more force-feeding, content down the throats, especially of a younger or growing audience, and or just, doing something similar to a hit that, that was before, because the hits are happening on Periscope and our platforms and on YouTube. And, and I think, they're waking up. There is what they call the convergence between traditional and digital, and just like a democracy, it only changes when it has to. So the entrenched powers are like, "Oh man, I got 2 years on my contract. Leave it for the next guy." But they're being forced to change. And then once, again, if Hollywood history is any indication, once they figure it out, the barriers to entry will go up again, and then, something will democratize it all over again in a few years.
Well, that is a great way to wrap up. The fans are our girl bosses and our boy bosses, and we report to them. And I would like to invite you to all meet with our panel one-on-one outside these doors, and please give these gentlemen a round of applause.
Thank you.